Hey Dramax, welcome back. So we just finished episode 5 of The Prisoner of Beauty, and Dramatic Bestie, what do you think of this episode?
Wow. This was like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it was kind of a sad episode for the most part, because we see Manman mourning the grandfather passing, and that seems to be like the overarching theme of the whole episode, where there's this constant state of mourning. So there's a lot of burial rites and memorial rites and stuff, and we basically pick up right where they left off with her finding out the news about her grandfather passing away, and finding out like literally 5 weeks later. And so when we start the episode, it's like we see what's happening from Wei Xiao's perspective, where he's getting the same news. And we were both,
and he gets it the next morning.
He gets it the next morning, and he's reading the same letter. And we were talking about how his face, he looked like that kid in the candy store, like, yeah, I got what I wanted. It's weird because it's like this weirdly sinister, like...
Yes, glee.
On one hand, it's like he's happy he's dead. But on the other hand, you could tell he's a little bit disappointed because you could tell he wanted to take him out. So,
especially since the grandfather was the big strategic point of the family.
Right.
So without him being there, now it seems like there's a weak point.
Take out the head, the body will fall. So this gives him more incentive to like, okay, he's taking down Li Su. Grandfather's dead, so now it's like, all right,
and that's Pan Yi too.
Exactly. So now it's like, all right, the next step from here, and we're gonna find out what his future plans are. But it's
the generals too.
The generals, and what was interesting, because we were talking about this too, like the generals' first responses were like, we need to dig up his corpse and flog him, and like it's not enough that he's dead. Like they really wanted him to be dead at their hands.
Ultimate retribution,
bloodlust, hatred, and luckily again. Advisor, I need to know his name, but the wonderful advisor.
It's like Gong Sun or something like that.
Okay.
Gong Sun.
I can't, I'm so bad with names, but he's just like, guys, now is not the time for hatred, blah, blah, blah. We have to remember this is Mama's grandfather. She's probably in mourning. And then that's when one of the generals makes a point. It's like, oh, well, if she's going to be in mourning, then that means that they can't possibly marry.
And that they probably had sent this deliberately at this time to do it because it's 5 weeks after the fact.
Right. There's that glimmer of like, oh crap, what if this is a ruse? What if it's another manipulation? It's so fascinating to see Wei Xiao like assume everything about the... the child's like, he just thinks that they're so great strategists. It's like, no, it's mom and her grandfather, and that's it. Like, hopefully there's at least some arc at some point where he actually gets to meet her people and recognize like, oh, I had them all wrong. Like, I hope we get that. I don't know, but his first question is like, does she know about her grandfather?
And that's the thing we were also watching, because we kind of rewind the scene. We're talking about how he had that face full of glee. It's like, oh man, that dude is dead. Like, oh my gosh, that's like an ultimate dream. Like, one less child is alive on this side of the earth. But then when it mentions Mon, first question he does ask after all of their inputs, does she know? Is she aware of that? His advisor is just like, Master Zhang didn't mention it, but then again, he didn't ask. He just got the missive about the passing of her grandfather, and then he handed that directly to Wei Xiao. And so the next scene is that Wei Xiao meets with her on the dock, and she's like, yeah, I'm sorry, it was like a little late, and she's very quiet.
She's sad, like, and there's no pretense, no act. Her maids were like, yeah, you need to go more, and then she's like, no, I have to stay the course. This is all part of a great plan. I have to remain here.
And grandfather would agree with me.
Grandfather would agree. And what was interesting throughout this part, like she had the initial, like the tusks and stuff from the first episode that they used, and that's what she was throwing. Okay, this is what we should do. So it's like she has a physical like manifestation of her grandfather like still with her, and she's kind of like twirling them around in her hands, like kind of like a comfort sort of tick, He turns around thinking, oh, it's probably, again, it's part of this grand scheme that grandfather made. And he can see just how sad that she is. And there's something about her face that he starts thinking about too, when he was still a kid and mourning all of his family that were slaughtered. So we flash back to him, and you see all his grandmother, his mom, all those other relatives. And like you see just all these plaques of like family members that were gone, and he's this little kid, and just like,
yeah. And on top of that, like, he had mentioned then, it's just like, with the passing of your grandfather, there's been rumors talking about, because of his passing, that this marriage is not going to take place. So he asked her, do you even want to marry me? It's like, dude, she already said she was willing to marry you on the condition that you take Panyu, but you already took Panyu before you married her.
Right.
And so it was more like, again, what we were saying in the previous episode. She was waiting on him to introduce that idea, to acquiesce. But what she ends up saying, actually, is just like, it is the dying wish of my grandfather that this marriage takes place.
Yes.
And so then he looks at her and sees her grief and, her being quiet, and he has that flashback, and then he just leaves her. But what does he go and do?
So we move on to the next part, and you see him riding on a horse by himself, kind of out in a foresty area, and he looks like he's in a hurry, like he's on his way somewhere, and he suddenly stops. And then next thing you know, you hear a bow. And then we see, skip ahead, and he's bringing in this box that's covered up. And it's like at her doorstep, and she's like, what is that? And he's like, it's a lynx.
Yeah, because you hear that, which we thought was so funny, because this is him saying, I accept your hand in marriage. But what is so significant about this is that out of all the gifts that Leon had gifted her, except the lynx, the fabled lynx on both turns, never turned up. In this one offering that Wei Xiao had done, he only offers her the lynx, but it's the elusive one that this other suitor was never able to get.
And, and not even able to. I think they were just too lazy to do
that. They didn't want to. They didn't deem her worthy
to put in enough effort to do that.
But he did.
Because
he immediately left from that place and went and did that. And that's the only thing he brought. But you know what? It was a blessing enough for him to say, I'm serious
this is for real, for real. And I think, especially thinking back to last episode where they first turned up during the whole siege and happening, and he sees all the betrothal gifts, and then is like, what is this? And sees a ferret, and like, you can see the annoyance on his face, like, are you kidding me? Like, this is what you present her with? So like, to see him be like, I got your lynx, girl. Yeah. I'm here. This is it.
And I love, like, that's what he eventually did remember to do. It wasn't that before he left her at the dock was saying, like, okay, I consent to marry you. Like, let's go ahead and do this.
He actually made a physical show of it, and
because he's a man of action.
He's a man of action, and it shows that he will keep his word. He didn't have to do that. He could have done just like Leon did, and I'm give you all this stuff and stuff and stuff. But anybody could do that. He could get people to fetch out for him, but he took the effort on his own. No guards, no generals. I'm gonna find a lynx. Here you go. And
he shot that without, because I'm like, he was still on the path on the horse. And all we see, like, from the camera work is that he shoots an arrow and it hits something. Yeah. And so it's just like, did you just hit it blindly? You just knew it was there or what? But I'm like, he knew even as quickly as he was going. And at first, when he rode his horse, when I first watched it, I thought he was just going to go and vent somewhere or write off the frustration and the turmoil he was feeling regarding this, because this is a big deal, because him going into a marriage with his enemy, he's feeling a little guilty about it. And we were kind of waging where that essentially at this time frame, he really doesn't have to marry her. He really does. He already got
He has everything he wanted and needed. So really, he could just throw her off a cliff somewhere and nobody would know the difference.
Absolutely.
And she's already made a show of, he's going to get the canal back up and running. He's going to save the people. So really, like, she's useless to him in terms of power. He has everything. So he could easily just, or one of his people could do it. But he's like, okay, we're getting married. This is going to be real.
Even with her grandfather offering that, his grandmother still accepted it. With that, he's like, okay, let's go ahead and do this task. But I love that he just went ahead and did that, because I believe also, and they'll kind of get into these future scenes that we're going to see, he's intrigued by her. And I think, like, in the low-key, he's just like, I kind of want that, especially since, like, he not necessarily won her, but she chose him.
Right.
When she could have gone with Luyan. And with that, too, he also sees, like, just how good and gracious she is. And also, it's kind of like one of those things, like, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, too. And so it's almost like maybe he's also, like, taking her as a, not necessarily a hostage, well, a prisoner of beauty. But I'm like, it's prisoner in both ways because, they're prisoners in their grief right now. They are prisoners with the tasks that they have to do, which essentially by their grandmother and grandfather for them to get married, to kind of like, have a peace amongst the two clans.
They're locked into this.
They are.
It's not their decision. They didn't really have a choice. It's like they're having to pay the price for their ancestors' mistakes and issues and failures. And so everything is resting on the both of them. And when he first sees her and notices he's sad, I felt like there was like this sense of empathy, like he knows how that feels to lose people and grieve. And we kind of knew grandfather was kind of on his way out because he was already bedridden, he was already very frail, and I was like, he's probably gonna kick the bucket at some point. And then lo and behold, it happens.
It seems fitting though that as soon as his mom had left him, it's just like I have nothing else to live for because he raised her. That's his child.
And I think because he trusts that she knows she's going to be successful. Like, I think he has a sense of peace about it, even though there's still that guilt of not being able to fulfill his wish. He knows Maman will succeed in ways that he never could.
Absolutely.
And so I think there's this comfort, like, okay, she's off. I think I'm ready. It's time. But yeah, we see her, they're doing the offerings and stuff.
Because they're prepping for the wedding, but she's also established a tablet for her grandfather. Mm-hmm. He's also prepping to, getting ready where he's up there honoring his, not necessarily all his ancestors, but more like his grandfather, father, and brother.
Right.
And we noticed that it's not in that office room there where you have the cool, calm, blue effect. No, this room is red because it's like the marriage red, but it's also like the blood feud and the reminder of that,
and keeping those tablets around as a reminder to himself what his goal ultimately is, to keep him like, okay, we have an ultimate goal. Mm-hmm. Like she has an ultimate goal, and having grandfather's plaque around is kind of a reminder of that for her. But he has his own, like you see the three of them, and he's kind of not mortified, but you could tell like he's like, okay, well, grandfather's dead. I'm going through with this marriage. You can see him sort of struggling with himself if this is the right thing to do, and
massive guilt
over, number one, not killing him by his own hand, because I think that was part of the assumption that part of the revenge was like he would die by our blade and not just taking the easy way out, so to speak.
Well, also he hadn't really fulfilled any of this. Like it seems like a betrayal all over again. The child clan, irregardless of the old man dying, they're still alive and kicking. They're still thriving.
Yep.
And on top of that, he's marrying one of them. That is guilt to be. And I'm sure also he's also probably feeling guilty of how he feels about her, but he can't pinpoint it yet.
Right.
Because, a lot of this stuff is foreign to him. But, at the same time, like, he has fierce protectiveness about her. I think also, like, when it comes to marriage, a lot of times whenever you have a marriage, usually, you're supposed to give tribute or bow to each other, to your parentals, and then to the earth, to the people. So you're supposed to give tribute that way. Mm-hmm. And, of course, like, none of their people are there because, his people are still back into his way homestead. And then I think also what really matters more to him are the fallen people that he's trying to honor, and so those are his ancestors that he's paying tribute to. But girl, the wedding scene,
that is probably one of the saddest weddings I have ever seen in my life. And we've seen some stuff. This is like the most dour thing. Like no one's happy. They look gorgeous as always, but you could tell
because they're twin. It's funny, they are twinning because their outfits are matching.
Yeah, it's like they have like wedding robes, but they have the black and mourning and stuff like that. So it's very interesting, like seeing the two of them. Mama enters and they start the ceremony and stuff. And they make the announcement for him to...
Well, before, like, when she's walking, because she has the fan in front of her face, as soon as she gets to him, she stumbles and he catches her.
Right.
It's kind of like that thing. It's like, even with him, with his warring emotions, it's still just like, I still got you, regardless. How I feel right now, you're still going to be protected. I'm still going to take care of you.
But the whole hesitation, because when she enters, he's turned around. Like, he's turned toward the pillars and stuff, watching those, and you could see this weird conflict, like, oh shit, this is real. And
I'm marrying
and it
this
takes
girl.
him a second, like, because they're like, hey, the bride is entering, the bride, hey,
yes,
the bride isn't her. He
yes.
finally turns around, and so because even at one point she kind of looks from behind the fan, and is like,
are we going?
Are we good? Is this happening?
Oh yes, and I forgot. So like as she's walking up the aisle, it's flanked by all of the Wade generals, the guys that we know and some others, and they have their fists balled up because like I think all but one doesn't, but most of them are morose faces and they're balled up because it's like regardless of what she did for them and Pani and everything else, she's still an outsider. She's still a child, and she's still she's still a child. And so you already see the myriad emotions from those four, and then you have Wei Xiao going through all the grief of just like you said, I can't believe this is happening. We're cementing this. I feel like I'm betraying my family. This is a big dishonor. How do I justify her being my wife now? Because like this is the first one I had ever seen where they actually did like a wedding feast like this. And so the two of them sit at opposite ends and her nanny is serving him. They were supposed to eat millet and she eats a little bit. He doesn't. And then he's supposed to taste the sauce. He doesn't. She does. Supposed to drink some soup. She does. He doesn't. And so it just seems like she's going into this where she's going to be a single woman in her marriage. That's what it's feeling like.
And you can see like her face like first turns from confusion to like rage. Like you can tell she's pissed off. Like, can you please?
Well, a little bit of rage, but also just like she's already grieving herself, so she's already locked in her own emotions. But it's almost just like crestfallen. This, of course, is not ideal. It's not like they had happily said like, "Yes, I'm going to marry you because I love you." It's not none of that. But it's like at least meet me halfway because this is something we both don't want to do.
You can see her like, "Can you please, at least pretend to participate in this? Like I'm." Literally giving up everything for this. Yes. Can you at least make a show of it and put in some effort?
And also, like, not only did she, like, give up, like, she's giving up, she already did.
She already has.
And especially, like, she's also grieving. Like, I love how you beautifully had said, at the beginning of this is that this is a episode of mourning and whatnot. And, like, she's also mourning her previous life. And that's how a lot of things are when you get married. It is a change where you go from one household to the other, especially when you have like a traditional thing like this. Right. And of course, like, yes, she's been apart from her household for a long time already, like for 5-ish weeks 5+ weeks, because her grandfather died and it's been 5 weeks already. But then there's like extra days when, they were in, what's the other place? I forget. Shihan?
Shandi or Shindy?
Shindu, thank you.
Sorry, the name.
But like she's already been apart from her family, but she still had familiar ties. She wasn't literally tied in marriage to this man yet.
Now she's bound. And after the wedding, like he eventually takes that last one. I don't know
the gourd where it's like the red string of fate. Yes, you're supposed to drink. I guess like I forget what it is, but she takes a drink, but then looks over to the tablets and he pours it in honor of them instead of her.
He has to choose between his clan versus his wife. And
who comes priority. And also, I think it's also to like to do the ghosts of his past of just like, I'm doing this. I might be marrying her, but I honor y'all first.
Exactly. Like I will always be away before anything else. And I thought like it was interesting because I didn't notice the red string until the very end. And like when it finally came into play, I one thing I did pick up on is like the string was tightening. The tension was like tightening as we were getting closer to the end. I'm like, oh shit. Like it's kind of like a literal noose for both of them. Like, okay, like there's no going back from this point. And the whole time, he was frozen during this whole thing. It wasn't like he was just being a jerk just to be a jerk. Like, he was present, but not present. The lady next to her, the maid, is trying to give him stuff. And it's not like he's saying no. He's just
refusing.
Shell-shocked. And so...
Because I'm like, he's not even staring at her. He's staring pretty much, like, on the table at something. But he's not even looking or acknowledging her. The only time when he ever has, like, any other actions when he turns and pours the gourd towards his fallen people. Yeah. Of course, with this, like, she's already grieving because it's just like, so this is what it's going to be. It seems like you're more married to your revenge than you would be to me. And she tells her maid afterwards, she's like, he's not a bad man. It's not that. She already knows what she's up against. She already knew this ahead of time. But now she knows it's entrenched and very deep. But I know it's very shell-shocked because I think also her going through her grief and mourning with her grandfather kind of like immediately made it a little bit more deeper for him too. Now I still think he would still have that guilt and feeling of like like he's betraying them and whatnot already. I still think that will still be apparent, but I think just her going through her realm of mourning kind of like deepened that pain for him at the time. But it's also nice because they had something mutual on that ground, even though they didn't openly discuss it, because it's hard for her to discuss someone that he is glad is dead, but he understands her grief, which we had established in the first party episode. But he does pay her a visit. I thought he would be like so entrenched in his guilt and grief that he wouldn't, but he does go and pay her a visit, and he's essentially just like, we're not going to do any of that. Like, you're already still in mourning. I like this verbiage again. He says essentially that before he leaves, he's like, you know what? Go ahead and rest for the night. You've already been through enough today. And before he leaves, he's like, just want to let you know that irregardless of what I might do to Yan or to the Chow clan, you and I are husband and wife. I will never harm you, and you will always have a place to live. Mm-hmm. That is a given. Mm-hmm. But there's only one condition for that. From now on, you are away. You are no longer a Chow.
Yep. So she has to cut her family ties entirely. And basically, it's like, you're one of us. You can't have any divided loyalties. Mm-hmm. And, later on, we see her kind of with her maids by herself. And again, she's looking at her grandfather's tablet. And her maids are like, that means that you can't have this around. Like,
yes,
you can't be mourning him openly. And she's like, don't worry, I married into this family, but my loyalty will always be to my people.
Yes.
And she does her own little ritual, and it's like, oh shit. So, we see them both like back to square one, where they are trying to take care of their own and handle their own. And one thing I forgot to mention from last episode, after the whole standoff between Wei Xiao and Li Yun, and she's caught in the middle and all that, and trying to figure out who to run to, she had mentioned, she's like, the Chow clan, we always take care of our people. We're always kind and considerate. And I think we did talk about that probably offhand. It's like, he doesn't question her, like, he doesn't contradict her, say like, but you're grandfather, right. He's just kind of letting her have it out because she's traumatized. She's freaking out, and so she's just going on about, we take care of our people and da 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 da, and he doesn't contradict that in any way. And again, she's like, my loyalty is to my people first, and I'm gonna do what I can to help them. So even though she's away now in name, she's still going to be a child to the day she dies.
Absolutely. So, and it's like, we also know, like, the reason why he had said that in the first place is, again, to assuage his guilt of marrying her. Right. If she's away, it kind of makes this okay. He can eventually have feelings for her and whatnot. It would be okay if she's one of us and not a traitor. I mean, that's his justification to make it all feel better in his eyes, at least in the eyes of course, like, in his family. His family has, we will find out that some families have strong reactions to him marrying her. And of course, we already got that kind of like litmus test with his people, with his generals and stuff like that, about like how they feel about the marriage. Even with them knowing what all she has done, it does not erase where she came from.
Yep. And so the next scene shows everyone traveling toward the Wei territory, because their families, like, mourning rites are coming up in the next couple of days, so they need to head out. And of course, they're traveling in the carriage and everything, and they're having some issues, and it's been raining, and there's all this weather issues, and so it breaks down.
Water!
Yeah, water everywhere, and especially because they're still both in mourning. Like, they got married, but it wasn't a happy occasion. So there's a lot of rain, a lot of water, a lot of dreary, dour stuff happening. And they stop at one point because Man was needing hot water, so one of her maids goes to get hot water, and that causes some delays or whatever. And they're trying to figure out, like, okay, do we press on or do we stay and give the lady some time to sort of decompress a little bit, because they've been traveling for several days. And Wei Xiao's like, no, we need to continue. Yeah. And we see Mama kind of like look out of her window. Oh, and that's right. When they started traveling, like, she kind of peeked out the window, and we see Wei Xiao like right next to her.
He immediately looks at her.
And there's this kind of look of like recognition, like, and we found it interesting that he was riding right beside her instead of in front. Mm-hmm. And at first I was like, is it partially because he doesn't want her trying any nonsense?
That, it could be that.
But also, like, I want to stay close to her in case something goes down, because you never know. There's, like, bandits and stuff.
Right.
There might be another ambush. But we were, like, the minute she opened the little gauze, like, curtain, he was like...
He immediately looked at her. Like, he immediately sensed her. And it wasn't like he was, like, neck and neck with her. He was still, like, kind of like a little ahead, but still in her window view, and he immediately looked back at her. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also what he had said, like, practically, like, now that we're married, you're still my wife, and you are under my protection regardless. Right. And so... Stay close. And so... I think that's, like, what always, like, is a good show of that. And what I think is, like, really refreshing about this drama is that, yes, you might be my enemy, but at the end of the day, you're still my wife. Right. And I will still respect you as my wife. I'm going to protect you as much as I can. And so, like, I love that that's still the standard that he's put forward. So, like, even to the detriment of my own self, I will still protect you. I will still come to bat for you. And so they ride all the way back to the seat of Wei. And so the thing about this is they have to go and do, like, that whole thing of mourning and stuff. And this will be, like, the whole mourning with not just, like, his grandfather, father, and brother. It's the whole span of the ancestors. But, they're the most forefront, right? Right. Of course, it's still raining and pouring. And so they said, like, well, leave her carriage outside for right now, but bring her in after all the rites is done, because he's like, it's more like, let me go in and smooth some things with my family, get soften all that, the blow. Soften a little bit, because he also has to go and see, like, how the state of things are and go from there. But we also had talked about, him leaving her out there is also to distance himself, of saying, like, she's not my priority like that. Like, my priority is always about Wei and about my the people we lost, like, in getting revenge. I'm going to go and pay tribute to that, but I'm letting you know, like, she is not a deterrent for me. So, yet. Yeah.
and we thought of it like it was a way of showing the Wei clan that he was still loyal. Like, she's not officially welcome into their circle yet. And let's show her being humiliated a little bit before we welcome her into the fold.
And she's not beguiling him or bewitching him either.
Exactly. And it gives him a little bit of distance for him to handle his business, handle his affairs, deal with his family. And we see a couple of different things happening, but he tells his generals to stay outside and watch them.
Yeah, so they're, like, not outside where her carriage is, but they're, like, where the gate. They're at the gate, but they still stand guard. I mean, all four of them do. Yeah. But what we do meet there is his cousin. And so the cousin, he tells the cousin essentially, like, after all this stuff is said and done, then you can bring the lady inside. So, with that being said, he goes and pays tribute to his ancestors and, of course, his immediate following family. And his mother first. His mother is still all in her emotions about it, and I get it. I don't know how she feels about her father-in-law. It could be whatever with her father-in-law, but to lose your son and your husband,
that's traumatizing.
That is very traumatizing. And I'm like, and of course, like, not everybody can handle grief the same. So she probably had carried hers for a long time. But, she pretty much condemns him for, essentially, it's like, I don't know how we can even face you guys, considering that your brother married the enemy's daughter. And so it's like, doesn't really, like, wash at all. And, like, how can we do that? So his grandmother just, like, just take her out. Get her out of my face.
Get out of here. She's doing a lot. And the mom specifically is like, I hate the Chow clan so the day I die. So it's not enough that she lost her family, which is understandable. But you could see that hatred is not just a Wei Xiao thing. It's not just his generals. Like, this whole clan is out for blood. Yes. And so she's like, no, we don't need that right now. She's being a little extra. Get her out of here. We hear from grandmothers, like, this is something that we requested to kind of smooth ties over. I thought it was interesting that when we meet his uncle,
there's another trifling
uncle, but that was part of the reason why Wei Xiao wanted to press on, because they had mentioned that his uncle was on his way from another province and was probably going to make it before then if they don't get a move on. Yeah. And so you're kind of like, okay, why is it so important that he gets there first? And then we figure it out when...
Yeah, because he even told his uncle, you're late.
Yep.
Because it seems like you're always
late.
Even when they were saying, like, when they were on their way to Wei, his people had asked Wei Xiao, like, should we slow down and give the lady a minute, or should we press on? And he immediately, he looks to the carriage, but then he's just like, let's press on. And we're thinking like he's being cold. It's like, no, there was a reason why he had to do this.
There's a reason.
If he could, he would have given her time.
Exactly. And we see Uncle make a grand entrance as usual, and he's immediately talking shit about how the child grandfather died because of old age and not because Wei Xiao actually killed him. So he's already kind of implying that Wei Xiao did not fulfill their ancestors.
Oh, wait, and before that, we get that flashback when he was little, too.
Yes.
Before that uncle gets an interest, so you can also see, like, how he was back then, which, no change.
None.
So, we get an official flashback of little Wei Xiao was grieving and whatnot. I can't remember, like, if people were bagging on him or talking about him first, and then he just got up and started to, like, swipe at the legs at the throne and sat on it.
Because they were talking about how little he was, and he's too young to be running the clan and everything. He's a little baby, blah, blah, blah. He cries when he sees blood. And he's like, you know what, F this. So he cuts himself. And you see him, and he's like, I will destroy the Chows, and I will kill that old fart, whatever.
Yes.
And like,
he's like, I will take vengeance against Li Su and destroy the Chao clan.
Chao clan,
And of course, like, a lot of times when you cut your hand like that, that's a blood oath that he's doing. And so the uncle and, of course, the grandmother, everyone bows and, like, they do the chant. But you see the uncle is kind of like, I don't want to bow this, but, you know, if I don't do it, it's going to look bad.
Yeah.
So you can already see the uncle's been plotting. It looks like the uncle's been plotting a little bit.
And he's not even really subtle about it, which is so funny. And when you consider how tactical Wei Xiao is, like, you could tell he already clocked, like, I don't trust this man. And luckily, grandmother was there to be like, no, he's next in line. This is his birthright. He's in charge of the clan. Y'all need to recognize him. And that's when he does the blood cutting thing. And he's cutting off the legs of the throne. And it's like, rah, I'm showing my rage. Because, you know, again, he's traumatized from this shit. He wants revenge just as much as anybody else. And, you know, he's been indoctrinated into, we have to destroy the Child clan. We have to go after Li Su. Li Su's the last person he saw before his brothers passed.
Which is, to me, warranted.
And now you have people already questioning his legitimacy for the throne. And so he has to show, put on a show of sorts to show that I can do this. I can fulfill my ancestors. I can get my revenge. And so when we see the reunion of him and his uncle, it's the same dynamic. And you could tell there was a reason why Wei Xiao wanted to get there first. Because had he been late, you know Uncle would have made a big deal.
A big deal. And he was just like, you know, I'm going to shove him off the throne. Because it seems like that's what he's been going after, amongst other things that we think he might have done.
Yeah, and uses that opportunity to kind of needle him a little bit more about, again, you know, that grandfather died because of old age. He died too easily, and you didn't give him the send off that you were supposed to. You were supposed to kill him yourself, and blah, blah, blah.
And on top of that, you married this girl.
And kind of like stirring up nonsense. He's stirring shit up.
And I'm sitting here like, grandmother told me to marry her. It's like, it wasn't just my decision of me wanting to take this alone. I didn't want to marry her at first.
Yeah.
So.
And I like that he says the exact same thing that Man said. It's like, this was my grandmother's last wish. Those are her dying,
the grandfather's
dying wish. The exact same thing Mama had said. So they're both fulfilling what their grandfathers wanted. Was
I love
for
that
them
parallel.
To have a union. And I was like,
and also, like, they bring in the seal of Pan Yi, and so and the advisor had said, like, because she gave up the seal, they were able to take over Pan Yi without having war.
Without a single bloodshed. And you can see Uncle looking at the seal, and you could tell thoughts are formulating about, like, oh, he has a seal. He, the physical manifestation of power for the whole territory and stuff. So there's that. And then there's some allusions here that Uncle was supposed to send reinforcements during the battle long ago, about 14 years ago, and they never showed up.
It wasn't just like, I guess, 14 years. It was recent.
It was recent
now.
Yeah.
But we were kind of alluding that because, like, the uncle was just like, how dare you try to, like, make me look bad here, trying to, like, backpedal and, like, how dare you accuse me of things. And so we were thinking from that, for him not sending troops now when Wei Xiao needed it, what did he probably do 14 years ago?
Exactly. We think that he had a hand in the Child's not being able to send reinforcements. Because you remember, at the start of this, the Wei clan was fighting, but there were other territories also embroiled in stuff.
Like beyond too.
Yeah, and so, part of their rationale for not sending troops was if the Wei clan is struggling and if they're going down, there's a possibility we definitely will not survive.
Right.
If you have the strongest army not being able to make it,
yes.
if they go, we're definitely dead regardless. So
absolutely,
we might as well care for our own. And we really do think that the uncle had a hand in some of that happening. And
either that or pushing Lee Su.
Yeah, and you had said, like, what if Lee Su is like was hired on his behalf to kind of stir shit and wreck the goal? Because if you take out the brother, the father, all of them, all the men, and then especially with that whole edict of we need to slaughter every male in the territory for the next 3 or 4 days, and all justifying all the slaughter, then basically Wei Ding.
I can't remember.
Uncle could basically take it over without any blood on his hands. It's like, my fallen family. Like, we could see him manipulating in the background. So we think he had a hand in all of that playing out the way it did. And I think with him not sending reinforcements, I think it kind of reminds Wei Xiao of the same betrayal that the Chows did. So him not sending reinforcements, kind of like, you are a traitor. You betrayed us. And
your family too. That's
and so it's like, it's bad enough the Chows didn't help us in our time of need, but you're one of us. You're a Wei. You're supposed to be able to do your part.
But he's selfish. He wants his, and of course he wants Wei Xiao to fail.
Yeah, he wants power. He wants to humiliate Wei Xiao, and luckily Wei Xiao is thinking 5-6 steps ahead, and he knows his uncle is not subtle about what he wants. And I think it was with the Seal of Pani being there, I wondered if that was something that Wei Xiao had bring it with us, because we need to show something that we have the upper hand here, but also it shuts Uncle up, because he was talking noise up until they brought that seal, and then you see Uncle kind of eyeballing it like it was just the ultimate treasure, the ultimate prize, and you could tell, like, oh yeah, he definitely wants power, he wants authority,
because the other things in war is just like a lot of times, like, yes, with them being a militant state and them conquering and regaining lands that they had lost, I get what the aspect of that is, but like no one wants to go to war in order for you to end up losing and dying. And so like for them to conquer a land that they were already hard fought to get to without shedding that blood already goes a testament of how this alliance with this marriage is already tending to be. But what I think is him showing that seal is a twofold kind of thing. Him not only flexing to his uncle that he was able to conquer Pawnee without any loss of troops on their end. Also, it's almost a thing of him protecting his wife in a way.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, she's good for it. Through her, we were able to maintain this, and now she's one of us. I don't want her to be disrespected. So it's kind of like a subtle thing of him doing that, and also him saying that through this marriage, our alliance was going to reopen up the canals and really get the water flowing, because as we know, Wei has been suffering from drought because of it.
Right.
And so this is what my grandfather wanted, in lieu of your father, assuming the uncle's father wanted this. This is what it needed to happen. And so with that, he kind of goes through, I guess, doing other things and other businesses that he's attending to. The thing about it is that Mama and her maids are still out in the carriage.
Yeah, and it's been pouring rain for the last day or two, so they've been outside with, as far as we know, no food, no water, no potty breaks. And the generals are just standing there watching them. And Mon is getting progressively sicker and sicker. She's going through a fever. The winds are just hurling at them. And at one point, they're having to get out tarps to try to cover the carriage because it's just getting soaked. And I forgot her name. Xiao Tao? Yeah, she's such a sweetheart. I love her. But she's arguing with...
Wei Liang.
Thank you. I'm so bad with names. But they're doing their little bickering back and forth about, why are we out here? You need to let us in. She's falling sick. She's running a fever. We gotta get her something. And she's trying her best to kind of negotiate and be as mindful as possible. Maman had made a point. It's like, yeah, he's going to have a stay out here. It wouldn't be proper for us to enter when they're going through their mourning rites at the moment.
Yes.
And with the situation being what it is, it would not be appropriate for us to be there.
Yes.
So we need to wait here, be patient. But with Maman getting sicker and sicker, it's urgent. Like, they need to get in and get her some medical attention. So she's trying to plead with the generals, and the generals, you could see them like kind of folding, because I think they're watching all this happen, and they're seeing the rain, they're seeing all the swampy mud and puddles and stuff. They, see them getting progressively sicker and sicker, and you could tell that they're just like,
something ain't right.
So we can't let you in.
Well, especially so one of them, like, what was it, Wei Leon, when Tao went and asked him, when are we going in? Because we've been out here all this time, and this is getting ridiculous. And he looks back, and the cousin is there, and she shakes her head.
Yeah.
So he's like, sorry about you. You have to go back out there.
Yeah.
And so they're out there still. And so after a while, and of course, like, the guys have been sitting out at the gate too. So it's not just Maman and her crew. Soon a whole fleet of guards come out.
Yes.
And then essentially they said, like, yeah, we are going to get this carriage started. Like, pull those stakes up. We're going to turn this carriage around. And they're just like, what?
What's
We're going to take you back to Yan. And they're just like, why? It's like, because apparently she's been issued a divorce decree.
Exactly. Her maid's like, whoa, something's not right here. He would not just like turn her loose like that.
Especially since he brought her all this way.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense. They know something's off. And even the generals are like, wait a minute, hold on, something's not right. Because the guards kind of came out of nowhere, and they weren't people they immediately recognized. And so you see the maids fighting with the soldiers, like, hey.
Especially Tao.
Yeah, bless her little heart, because she's trying to plead with them, like, hey, you need to stop this. This is not right. Something's off. We need to talk to Wei Xiao. And they keep pushing her out of the way. And finally, she goes to the remaining generals that are there, and she's on her hands and knees begging and pleading, like, please, let us inside. Let us stay. You know this is not right. You know something's off with this. Please. And they're just like...
Well, luckily they already sent Wei Leon on, because they're just like, something's not right. Like, you need to go ahead and, like, ask for sure. Yeah. Before she went and pretty much kowtowed. And she's like, it doesn't make sense for him to marry her and then bring her all this way only to divorce her.
Send her back.
And so it's just like, you need to double check. Please do this. If she goes back, especially as sick as she is, she's gonna die. Right. And so, like, as I guess, like, the soldiers have gotten her carriage, like, turned around, and they are, like, full on pulling the carriage back the way it came, and Tao's trying to stop them and gets knocked down into the mud. And then the guys are still in indecision. They're just like, all right, let's try and go and help. And so, but before they do, and a little bit before that, we get, like, a disjoint scene, but it all folds together. So Wei Xiao gets word that his wife has not been moved into the city yet. And he's just like, what? We were done, like, days ago. Like, she should have already been in the city. Why is she still outside? Cousin, of course, was listening in the wing. She's like, oh, crap. Because you already know she's in cahoots with whatever it is. But she comes up to him and she's like, oh, well, I'm so sorry. This is what your mother had said. She really did not really essentially didn't trust your judgment about you marrying this girl. And so his mother took it upon herself to issue the divorce decree.
Covering her ass, basically. There's one point earlier in the episode where she's looking intently at the carriage, and Maman happens to look out, and they see each other and kind of sizing each other up, and Maman closes the curtain. But yeah, we recognize, like, yeah, there's some bullshit going on.
Oh, absolutely.
And so,
some cousinry up in here.
I'm like, it's always the cousins.
Yes, and it doesn't help, like, we already know that she's covering herself, but it's like, I think it's like a dual thing, is that we also have seen that his mother does not approve of this marriage at all. Right. And so she's covering herself, yes. But even with that news, Wei Xiao's like, oh, hell no. And so he goes riding out to the carriage and stops it. And he gets off his horse and he kicks one of the guards so hard, it breaks the carriage.
He's like, y'all ain't going where.
Nowhere. And so he gets into the carriage and her nurse is just like, in tears and just like, can you please save her? Like, she's so hot. She has a fever. Right. And so he takes her out of the carriage, and of course it's still full on raining, but he doesn't put her back on the horse. He walks her and bridle carries her towards the Wei estate. And he keeps looking at her. Right. That's what, she's knocked out and stuff, but I love how he just keeps looking at her.
And like he's close enough that he could easily kiss her if he wanted to.
Yes.
And what was interesting, because again, it's pouring down rain this entire time. She's in a fever, so you see all this water dripping down from like where she's sweating. And it's probably a combination of that and rain. She's pale and everything, but he's like looking at her like, oh, like,
yes. Phil, want to make sure she's okay and that she's guilty and like, gosh, you're pretty. It's like, even you're stubborn, you're so pretty. But I love that he also, it still goes to show what he had always said. It's like, regardless of where you came from, you're still my wife. That doesn't change, and I promise to take care of you and to make sure you're okay. This is amongst that. And to me, I felt kind of weird that he didn't go and check on her, but she also understood, like, he had things of business he had to sort out first.
Yeah.
But he also had it with the assumption that she was already safely inside.
And I think he had trusted his people to make sure that she was going to be taken care of, not realizing the scheming ass cousin was going to be, because like even the maids had said, we don't care that we're out here, but she should be inside. Right. Like, why is she out here?
Right.
I understand them not wanting us in. That makes sense, but at least get her inside so she can rest. And so I think Wade didn't think anything of it because he's like, well, we're at home territory now. They're going to get taken care of. I'll go and see them in a couple of days after I've completed my business and I got uncle out of my hair. But yeah, he was pissed because when he kicked that one guy, I was like, oh no, y'all are fucked up.
Absolutely.
Because even the generals were like, we don't recognize these guards. Where they come from? Mm-hmm. Oh, they're from the cousin. And they're just like, son of a.
And probably like the mother too.
Yeah.
It's I think going to be it's a tag team of them. And so the cousin's out there doing the dirty work and stuff.
Right.
In the field. She's the spy in the field, essentially. I guess with that, what is your prediction for episode 6?
Oh, there's going to be hell to pay. I know that much. But
because he was legit furious that she was still outside.
He was pissed, but also I hope that they start paying the maids a little bit more respect, because Tao especially, like when she was groveling, like she was in, like you could see her hair like in the mud and stuff, and the generals were like, why should we help you? Like you were disrespectful to us. That time where they were trying to see Man, and she turned them away with these bullshit excuses, and she's like, I know, like, whatever issues you have with Man, that was all me. You can take it out on me. I don't care, but, like, I have a responsibility to her.
Yes.
She helped save your people. She helped do all these things. Yes. She's one of y'all now. Like, please help her. And, like, the fact that she was willing to sacrifice on several occasions, like, she was getting hit by soldiers. Like, she was getting pushed down. And the last time that she got pushed, it seemed like it was, like, a really bad fall. Mm-hmm. And the fact that she was willing to debase herself and I don't want to say humble herself, because I don't really think that's nice, because the whole time she's just been advocating for Man's behalf. I hope we see that Man and her crew get a little bit more respect. I have a feeling we're still going to see cousin and uncle doing some shit, but I like the rapport that Tao has with Wei Young, because I'm like, are y'all shipping them? Because I ship them. Like, the way that they bicker and stuff is kind of cute.
It is.
But yeah, I think we're going to see some hell to pay, and we're going to see some more struggling between the Wei clan accepting Man, and because there's one of the generals, the quiet one, that you could tell that there's still this sort of like
reservation on
bloodlust, like we could just kill her right now, like.
But even with that, of course he's the quiet one in comparison, and he kind of like lays back. But even with that, he's just like,
you could see the disgust on his face,
a little bit of disgust, but at the same time, when they were told, like when they were coming to the conclusion, like, let's go ahead and just stop the carriage. I mean, he could have just laid back and just like, I ain't doing nothing to help. But no, he was like searching for it. So,
and I think because they all respect Wei Zhao's judgment, so like I think as long as Wei Zhao's in charge, they're not going to touch her unless he gives a word.
Oh, absolutely. So
yeah, but there's going to be some family drama. I just know that. So.
It's going to be a good one. I think I really like episode 6 because I think there's going to be a lot of building in so many other ways too, which is going to be like a nice aspect of it. And it's going to be a little funny. That's what I'll say.
Oh, gosh.
just a little funny. So, yeah, I guess like with that, are you ready to go into episode 6?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
So we'll go ahead and watch on and let you know more about our thoughts.